right, everybody. This is the Digital Craft, the radio show. I feel like I should be talking about this in a very exciting voice because this is an intro with intro music. I should talk about being an underground bunker or being amazing or being at the top of Mount Rushmore or Mount something. But really, we're just going to do a quick break in the music, and then we're going to come in with a subtle, poorly looped track. This is going to get us a little more comfortable towards the topics we're talking about, which is computers, internet, websites, graphic design, programming, music. And this is the start of the show and the end of the intro.
Yes, end of the intro, start of the show. I'm on a roll. I don't think I've done this many episodes in a week. I think this is more like what I do in a month. So, obviously, I'm feeling better. And my lists are getting a little more detailed, so this is good. Usually, when I say I have a list, it's just scribbles. It's doodles, hieroglyphs that I understand. This time, it's actually a bulleted outline list. And the main topic of today is based on a message I received today, but it's not just a message I received today, it's a message I receive a lot, and it's something that I've encountered over the many, many years doing this, and it has to do with WordPress. But I'm going to use the message I received today as an example. Now, I'll be candid about it. I don't want to get into anybody's privacy. It was a private message, but the information that was asked was good, and I hope I gave a good response to the person. So I want to thank Michael, last name unknown, for bringing that topic up. But I did realize that I didn't make any coffee, so there might be a slight tone of depression in my voice until this is over, or unless I can figure out a way to run and make a cup of coffee while I play music. The music selection today is still not from that bank I'm waiting on, but people are busy and they haven't gotten back to me yet on that bank, but they told me they were busy, but they told me they were excited about getting me that music, so we'll cross our fingers for that. I'm really digging at the bottom of the barrel though now. And that's not necessarily anything against the music I'm going to play. It's just old music, old music. A couple tracks from my days as a lonely drunk, mixed with some of my other buddies, some compilations, and then a track from one of the first bands I was in when I was old enough to play out in bars. So it's definitely. That one's definitely a little dated. It's a decent recording, but it's definitely more towards the hard rock Creed, Metallica days, less the bluesy, southerny, rocky, rock and roll, whatever type of music I'm into now. I think I play bluegrass too. Or at least the rest of my band plays bluegrass. I just play drums behind it. But so it's interesting how 8, 9, how many ever years can shape a musician and their interests. So, anyways, that aside, any news? We, of course, have our fundraising campaign that I'm annoyingly plugging as much as possible. Donate.thedigitalcraft.com. Make a $5, $10 donation, make a $5,000 donation. We don't care if you can't. Spread the word, please. We could use the extra money. I'm trying to put as much time in as possible, especially after losing this last month due to my failing spine condition. But hopefully that's noticeable. I'm trying to show, not just to get money, but I'm actually way more motivated again. The break was nice, and I'm ready to get back into this, and hopefully You guys can see by the massive amount of content and all that I'm back in action, and the donations will go towards a good cause. And speaking of good causes, now that I am back on my feet, I'm going to start working on getting some charities. And as I wanted to do a couple months ago, I've got some in town that I've talked to that I'd like to help out a little bit, and you guys can help out if you want. And we'll talk about that a little later. So, other news. I did a couple of different vlogs, vlogs this last night. I guess I did a lot. I did a vlog driving around my city because Justin recommended that a long time ago. I think it was Justin, either that or Jack, but I'm pretty sure it was Justin. And I finally did it. I've actually recorded like 10 of those, but they never came out very good. The camera kept falling off my dashboard, and I chose not dying and veering into traffic as opposed to saving the footage. And so last night I just I shot it unedited, just a little trip around downtown Fort Wayne, tell you a little bit of history about the city, a little bit of my information, my interest in the city, how I feel about it, what we got. We even run into a couple of characters along the way, as you do when you're driving around downtown at 1 a.m. But so that's out there. Then I did another vlog. It was a behind-the-scenes vlog where it was pretty tricky, and it took me a long time, a lot longer than I was expecting. But I recorded myself recording a video, and then I recorded myself editing the video, and then I edited those two recordings into a more condensed version, so you can see what goes into the recording portion and then what goes into editing. And I chopped it up so it's not 3 hours long. I cut it substantially as much as I could, but I wanted to give any of our viewers a chance to kind of look at what we do, or at least how I do it. I don't know how the other guys do it. I'm sure it's pretty similar. Other guys meaning Jack and Justin. But I also wanted to show potential donors what goes into what we're doing. The fact that we rely on those advertisements and on YouTube and the donations in order to continue to do these things and do them at the caliber that we're trying to do them at. Get better equipment, do better productions, put more time and effort into it, and make this a full-time job. Even if we're making bare minimum, just paying our bills, if this is my full-time job, this is what I want to do. So hopefully we can get some more interest in for that. But so news. I think that's the end of the news. Yeah. So WordPress. Let me pull up the message here, and again, I'll make it candid. I don't want to breach anybody's trust, but I'll just kind of give the highlights because it's not necessarily a unique message. It's a message I get a lot on not only Facebook but on YouTube too. The gist of it is, why not make a tutorial on how to use WordPress as a CMS, since it's already out there? Why show people how to make a simple CMS from the ground up when, quote, the wheel has already been made? Why reinvent it? And one answer to that would be, it's not a CMS. Now, I can't totally say that because it's been kind of converted into one, but essentially WordPress is, and I can't say always will be, but from the time of its conception to now, it is still a blog. It was built to be a blog. It is a blog. And then demand for adding pages and things like that and making it work a little more like a regular site, so you can have a blog and then have some actual, content pages. That came in, and WordPress did a brilliant job, an amazing job of incorporating that. So I want to make it very clear, the CMS we're building in the Dynamic series at this point pales in comparison to what WordPress can do. That's obvious. If you install WordPress and you take a look at their backend, it's amazing. It's beautiful. It's well done. I love it. In fact, we use it for our blog. We just don't use our blog very often, which we should. But time is time. So to answer that question, no, WordPress is not. It's not a CMS. It's a blog with a CMS, or with CMS capabilities. Now there's just loads and loads of plugins that can further make it into a more robust CMS to make a robust website. But as far as the ease of it, it's not there. Ease for someone like me, who's been doing this a long time, maybe. I can put that together a lot quicker. I could put a WordPress site together pretty quick. But there's some real big pitfalls, especially when you're doing freelance work or working with a firm and a client comes in and wants a WordPress site, or is asking, why can't I have a WordPress site since it's free, which is another misconception. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what it's good for and what it's not good for, and what to look out for if you're going to use them, or use a WordPress, or use WordPress to make a website for yourself or for somebody else, as far as how to maybe redirect a client's interest into not doing it that way, or at least explaining the ups and downs and the reason why it's not as simple as it sounds. So I need to catch my breath, try to make some coffee. I'm going to play that old 1990 or late 90s era band that I was in. I guess it would have been after 90s because I was 21. But here we go. This is a band I was in called Severance. This is Falling Down.
Be the same again. Divided worlds coming to an end. Obscure the lines between right and wrong. Will my mind and body remain strong? If I reach for you, will you stay? Can you hear me as I kneel to pray? My life is ending here in this room. Rising up in effigy, glory lines of my reality. No more standing, I'm falling down. The creature that has become of me seeks this world on bended knee. Time to realize my pain. Struggle to hold on to what is sane. Dominate me, please take control. Will you be there to make me whole? Lead me to a warm and dark safe place. Erase these bad tattoo scars from my face. Never forgetting what it is ending. Can you see deep inside of me? Conflict rising up in effigy, blurring lines of my reality. No more standing, I'm falling down. I still believe, I don't know how to deceive myself. Who am I now? Can I lay me down to sleep and give to you my soul to keep? Don't wake me now, it's been too long. Still searching to find where I went wrong. The time has come. Do I stand or fall? Will I be prepared to see it all? Never forgetting what is descending. Can you see deep inside of me? Conflict rising up in effigy, blurring lines of my reality. No more standing, I'm falling down.
And there we go. That was Severance Falling Down. That was one of my old bands. While listening to it, I was reminded of, as I mentioned before, we played at Change. And when we recorded that track, I had long hair down to my, almost halfway down my back. I was about 40 pounds bigger. And that wasn't muscle. That was beer weight. And it was an interesting time period. Most of those guys have moved on. I believe the singer lives in Georgia still. He rejoined the military or the Marines. I believe he was a medic. The guitar player is actually a local. Or well, his dad is a local legend here on the radio. He's been on the radio for decades. And then the bass player, I don't know what happened to him. He was kind of a quiet guy. And the second guitar player, who wasn't on that track, but he joined us later, has been in bands with me ever since. And he is a badass. And actually going through some health issues himself. So people, keep him in your thoughts, do your prayers, do your sacrifices, do what you do with your religions. But he could use a hand there. Anyway, that was interesting. Like I said, we're digging in the bottom of the barrel of my music collection, and not in a rude sense, but just finding stuff that I haven't played yet. One other note is that would change is that anybody into music, that I had I think a 17-piece drum kit in that band. I had electric drum pads lined across the top of it. I was using an electric kick pedal, or trigger anyway. And so 17 pieces, I think, and then now I play a 4-piece. I think I just got tired of carrying it around. When I became a drummer, I wanted to beat the hell out of things. When I learned that I can still beat the hell out of things without having to carry 2 van loads worth of drums to every gig, sometimes twice a night, I think I started downsizing. I think every gig I took a drum off until I got to the point where there was only so many things I could take off my drum kit. But anyways, that's not about WordPress, but it came to my mind. So, WordPress, what is it good for? It is good for a blog. Duh. I've done some WordPress sites in my career. Sometimes there's no amount of convincing a client that WordPress may not be the answer. One that I'm pretty proud of. I didn't necessarily do the design or the comp of it, but I did do all the CMS or CSS and HTML to create that design. Most of there's very, very little graphic. It's almost all CSS, and that was for a fairly famous tennis player over in, I believe, Argentina. His name is David Ferrer. I believe they like to call him David. But that was from a firm I was working in before, so I can't take full credit for that at all. So hopefully that doesn't come off that way. But I did do the development up until I left. I looked at the site earlier, and looks like they've been doing some more work on it. But that was an example of doing a WordPress site. But there was a lot of work involved there, and the price tag got kind of high. Now I won't tell you what the price tag was. That's not good business. But it was. It's not what people expect when they get a WordPress site. The only real benefit to having a WordPress site, or like a full-blown WordPress site instead of doing it from scratch, is that admin panel is pretty cool. It's pretty well made. In many ways, you can easily train a client how to use it. But on the flip side, if you build your own admin panel, you can also train them how to use that, and you can customize it to engage it on their own knowledge and their own abilities. Need a glass of water. Hold on. I'm lying. It's not water. It's energy drink. I don't know what water is. Another use, other than the obvious blog, is for a publication. If a publication needs to get on the web, it's a great idea. In fact, I had mentioned in my response to Michael that I've only referred, to my knowledge, one individual to using WordPress for their website, and that is because they own a publication. And in my mind, that is a beautiful tool for putting articles up, archiving articles, things like that. It's wonderful. Making edits to articles. In fact, if you really want to get into it, you could almost reverse engineer how you do your magazine and put the articles on the web first, and then with a little bit of ingenuity, take the articles from the web and then put them in the publication, whether you're still using Quark, if that even exists anymore, or if you're using InDesign, things like that. You can take what you've done and put it that way. So that way it's already archived on the internet. It doesn't have to go live yet until the publication's, sent out. But you have a record of it, copy, paste, format it in the in InDesign or whatever, and go to print. So that's another use for WordPress. That's great. And then lastly, a simple website can be done. Strip out the blog end of it, or even if you do want to blog part of it, but if you just need some simple pages, like a restaurant, there's some nice themes out there for restaurants, things like that. And that brings me to another point, is that really the big benefit of WordPress is not for people like me to go in and just destroy it, rebuild it, mold it to shape what a client wants. It's for people who don't have a lot of money and are willing to have like a pre-built template assigned, or used, whether they got to buy it or it's free, whatever. And sometimes you can buy full rights to it so nobody else can use it. But that's really where that falls in. Unless you know how to build a skin for it and apply it as a theme, then that's really the best way to do it as far as being a web designer or web developer goes. And that requires you to really know the ins and outs of WordPress, which that's not a bad thing. But to answer some of the questions asked, why am I teaching you how to do things from the ground up, from scratch, build your own CMS? One, I'd prefer to see people do it that way. Two, if you're going to get into doing WordPress in a more advanced level, understanding how the CMS works, just the bare bone concepts, is really important. Getting by just skinning it with CSS and things like that can work, but what happens when a client says, hey, what about this? Can I add this? And you go search for plugins, and those plugins don't exist. And you've got to figure out how in the world you're now going to incorporate this specific need that a client has into this WordPress framework that you know nothing about. You just know how to skin it. So that's where some of the pitfalls come in. So we'll talk about that here in a second. This next track, it's a real quick one. It's this was a compilation. I don't even know if the other guy knows I did it. An old buddy of mine, Justin, I think he was using the term Mud Juice, or the alias Mud Juice at the time, had wrote a guitar part and put it on MySpace. And I took it and played drums with my guitar. I just pitter-pattered on my acoustic and sang through an MP3 player, and then overlaid everything. You can actually hear I think you can hear the MP3 player's hard drive. This is an old MP3 player, had an actual spinning hard drive on it. You might even be able to hear that in there. But this was from, I was living in Tallahassee, and I put this together back in my lonely, drunken days. So you can probably hear that in here. So don't criticize me too much for this, but I need to get some actual water and move on to our next topic. So here we go. This is Skinny Dammit, which was my alias, featuring Mud Juice. And the song is... I actually don't even know what the song title is. I don't think it has a song title. We'll just call it Mud Juice. There at the end, you could hear the hard drive kicking in. Just to give you a little more visual of that, think of somebody sitting in a very dark apartment with a half a bottle, probably less than half a bottle, of tequila and a half a case of beer sitting next to him, trying to think of some happy words to sing on top of this guitar part. But that was another lifetime ago. But again, bottom of the barrel, finding music that I haven't listened to or didn't even realize I had on my computer, waiting for that new bank of music. So, pitfalls. We talked about it a little bit. Pitfalls of WordPress. The main one that I touched on is when it's really easy to have a client come in and say, let's do WordPress because it's free. And like I said, it's not free. It's free to install and free to use, but that's out of the box. If you just want a basic, standard boilerplate template that comes with WordPress, well then, yeah, it's free. You can charge the client for the hour or less it took you to install it and wash your hands of it, but that's not how it really works. Usually, a client's going to end up paying anywhere from $500 to $1,500 just to get a run-of-the-mill WordPress site up and running with just some pages, the blog, and a skin. And that is if you know what you're doing. Don't go charging that if you don't know what you're doing. But like I said, that can work out, but then what happens when the client calls you and wants some extra stuff and you don't know how to add that extra stuff? Then you're really in a crisis. And one of the biggest problems with these crises is that it makes a bad name for you, and then it makes a bad name for me and everybody else in this field. We have a lot of people out there, and I was one of them, I can't lie. All of us, many times, we start small, and we don't know what we're doing, and we make mistakes like this, and like I said, it affects the rest of us, because it doesn't necessarily lower the value of the next guy, but it makes it really hard for me to convince your client who has left you that it's going to now cost them $2,000, $3,000 to make a website from the ground up, to do all the great, amazing things that they want, and believe that I can deliver what I promise. So it creates this tension already out of the gate, and that's not good for anybody. So you have to be really careful with that. So unless you are 100% positive that that's what the client wants, they just want some simple pages, some simple information, and maybe even a blog, go for it. Or if you already know there's some plugins that fit their needs, go for it. But be really, really careful, because you can find yourself in a world of hurt. And the only other option really is to lose money by finding a web developer who does know how to dig into WordPress and build you a custom plugin, or build you a custom theme, or just get into the inside of WordPress in general. So then you either have to tell the client that you're going to have to hire this other person, or you're going to have to mask that hire by just charging them and then paying that other person. Either way, it's just not good business. It's not good for you. And it's not good for the rest of us should this fail. And if you want to learn the framework, if you want to be a WordPress developer, go for it. There's a lot of people out there making beautiful plugins, beautiful themes, and that can be a career in itself. But to answer the actual question that was asked to me, I'm not going to do I most likely will not do any tutorials on WordPress and how to skin them or theme them, because that's not what I do. That's not what I put my focus in. My focus was in customization. what I enjoy most of doing web development is the actual troubleshooting, problem solving, data mapping, figuring out how we're going to use a database to accomplish everything we need, how to make these relations, how to make things efficient and kill all redundancies, things like that, all that nerdy stuff. That's what I like to do. And so that's not my expertise. I did not, like I said, that's not downing anybody that puts a lot of effort into learning how to use WordPress and its framework, but that's not what I do. Now, on the flip side, what we're trying to do is prep people with this series that we're working on to understand a CMS at its basic level, how to make some pages, how to make a little bit of a blog, how to incorporate images to make a gallery, and just some simple elements like that. And then after that, we are going to develop an actual CMS, not a blog, dressed as a CMS, or CMS, yeah, I think I said that right, but an actual CMS. And how robust it gets, I don't know. Whether it takes off or not, I don't know. But the whole point is we're going to build it together, and we're going to learn together on it. And that's what we're more about here. We're not about grammar, but that's really what we're about here with the Digital Craft, is teaching from the ground up, teaching the essentials, teaching the tools. That's why I always repeat shortcuts whenever I'm doing a lesson, Control Shift this, Control Shift that, Control Alt Shift that, things like that. So, sorry, I got chatting going on here. That's kind of explains my thinking on WordPress, and why I won't teach it, or why I probably won't teach it. Hold on, sorry, I'm reading some comments here. Oh. Sorry, dead air. I hit the question mark before John was done with his comment. John makes a point that if you want a website that looks like everybody else's on the web, then WordPress is a way to go. And he is right for the most part there. If you want to take it out of the box or take a theme that's already been pre-built, there's a good chance that it's going to look a lot like everybody else's. Now, Diane here is chiming in and saying something that's also true. There are some very, very amazing websites built on WordPress. But that also requires people to have that knowledge to get into the core of WordPress and kind of, from the inside out, redo it, make beautiful themes, and understand how to do that. And if you're looking for just a quick way to make a website, or not even just you, but if a client's looking for just a quick website, then you're going to end up with what John's talking about, most likely. Unless you want to pay, you can also pay for an amazing theme and potentially get away with it. But I tell you, from the trained eye as a web developer, and John will probably attest to this, I can spot a WordPress site a mile away. I don't care how beautiful it looks. I can figure it out. I don't have to look at the source code and look for anything that looks WordPressy. I can see it right away. So, but I wish you guys would have chimed in earlier. I'm running out of breath and running out of time. But so hopefully that clears that up, because I think Diane and John both have good points. John's saying here, without customization, yes, it's very, very obvious when you have a WordPress site, and it makes it very unprofessional. It's almost like saying, screw it, I'm just going to have a Facebook page instead of a website. It's about as unprofessional as that. Not necessarily unprofessional, but it doesn't show a lot of initiative on your part. A website is supposed to be your online storefront, and it should reflect that. And if it looks cheap, if it looks if I liken it to to tattoos, those who get, and this is no offense to anybody, but those who get the stock flash tattoos that are sitting in the big panels on the wall in a tattoo shop, and you walk in and you want, I want that heart with the mom in the middle of it. And then the next time you come into the shop, you see 3 other people with that heart with the mom in the middle of it, or maybe somebody else's name, but it's the exact same piece of art. That's kind of the same thing. You're not really showing a lot of creativity and initiative. And a lot of these businesses, they're not creative, but that's what they're hiring us for, is to be creative and to make sure their storefront, their online presence looks unique and looks like they put a lot into it. And you can definitely fail with that if you don't do any customization. But anyway, thank you, Diane. Thank you, John. I'm going to end this with another drunken recording from back when I did that. This one's a fun title. This is Rusty Forks and Cold Ass Water by my old alias, Skinny Damn It, because I wanted to be skinny and I couldn't, damn it. Thank you.